Hey Merfolk fans, I'm Joe. Thanks very much for joining me today. If you'd like to support my channel, please check out the link above to my Patreon page. I'm here with round 3 of a modern Friendly League replay. I've got Kyle with me. Good morning, Kyle.
Morning.
And let's have a look at the opening hands. Won the die roll, and this is a sort of beautiful hand.
Oh,
So,
it's gorgeous.
easy keep. 2 lands, an AEther Vial, and a bunch of gas. Opponent mull to 5. Guess we should check what they do with their scry. Okay, they put on top. So Vial on the play against a mulligan to 5. Usually pretty good odds. Okay, so it looks like just goblins.
Gobos.
Yeah. So Harbinger is going to be really good in this matchup. I think we're going to lead with Silvergill, just revealing the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Another Lord is pretty.
Find the Master of Waves eventually.
Yeah, I mean it usually just wins the game against these guys. So on the mull to 5, it looks like the opponent is stuck on 1 land. Legion Loyalist is really good, but it really needs 3 creatures to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the opponent realizes this. We would happily trade with either of these guys right now, so he just chooses not to attack.
Yeah.
Extremely slow start from the opponent, and with this Harbinger in hand, I feel like it's kind of impossible to lose this one.
Basic Island.
So,
Bugler.
yeah, Basic Island. Bugler, yeah, so we get to see a little bit of the white splash in action. So enters the battlefield, and gonna get to see the top 4 cards, and unfortunately there is a creature there. Sygg is pretty good in monocolored matchups, right? Because we can always get protection. It's a little trickier in matchups like Jund if they have creatures of multiple colors on the board.
Yeah, like a Bob and a Goyf or something.
Yeah, you won't necessarily be able to push lethal since you need 2 activations or whatever. But in this case, Sygg's pretty decent. But as I was saying, we pretty much have what we need already to win this game. So,
and you can see here that the 2/3 body of Bugler just is good.
Yeah,
it's a good rate
for sure,
even without any synergy with the rest of the deck.
Right, and Vigilance is pretty good because just being able to attack in and leave back that big body to block is pretty nice. So opponent's just going to play a Mog Fanatic. It looks like they found a second land. Let's see. In response, we're just going to Vial in the Lord here to try to save the Silvergill. And it's probably going to work. Opponent's kind of in a desperate place, I think. And they still can't attack. So, all right. Bolt the Lord, right? Can't do anything about it. Oh, well, that took down the Silvergill too. So
yeah, that was a good play.
Yeah, it was pretty decent by the Goblins opponent, but we've still got more than enough here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I don't think we're worried.
I think we're just gonna poke in here with Bugler. Opponent's still looking for that 3rd creature, and let's see. I guess another Silvergill is decent. Opponent knows that an opponent knows that we have the Sygg, right? So that would have been a good reveal there. Since he saw it off the Militia Bugler.
So if we draw a land, we'll play it and leave up Sygg. If we don't, we'll play the Vial.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So Master of Waves, as we mentioned, is pretty excellent. So we probably upkeep Vial something in and then take it up next turn.
Mm-hmm.
Right, except the opponent scooped. So yeah, a very easy game 1. I feel like in general, mono blue Merfolk is a little bit favored against Goblins. They can always be like super explosive and just run over you, but provided they don't have the most insane possible hand, all we have to do is trade and tap their creatures with Trickster and just get to a Master of Waves, and that usually is enough to win.
Yeah, and honestly, the splash decks, the splash variations of Merfolk are even more favored because Pile Driver isn't.
Right. Yep. We have not just Mutavault as an out to Pile Driver, but in this case we have 4 Militia Buglers to block with, and then of course like the blue-green version has the green 1-drop Commander Speaker, I guess. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so let's go ahead to game 2 and check out the sideboard. Okay, back for game 2 against mono red Goblins. We're going to view the sideboard. So we're going to bring in our creature interaction, which is fairly limited, right? We brought in the 2 Echoing Truths. And let's see. Probably the Settle the Wreckages, right?
Yep. And then 2 Cs and 2 Sygs out.
Okay, seems decent. Rationale for bringing out Sygg is maybe one of the least impactful cards because it's such a fast matchup. We won't necessarily have mana up to activate him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, it seems...
He's more of a grindy engine card.
Exactly, so... Oh, looks good, right? We just want to build to Master of Waves.
Yep.
We've got,
there.
Trickster. So we're going to play probably tap Hallowed Fountain turn 1 unless we draw an AEther Vial.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, Goblins player kept 7 this time, which means we're probably looking at some early pressure. So here's Denizen. All right, as I said, Hallowed Fountain after drawing Silvergill.
Yep.
So Goblin Guide. And Legion Loyalist. So this is one of those nutty hands that I was talking about. So Legion Loyalist is going to make it pretty hard to fight through this because of the first strike.
And the ability to prevent Master of Waves tokens from blocking.
Yep. If he continues to go wide, this could quickly become a problem. So we got at least 1 land off of Goblin Guide. That's decent.
So we will be able to cast Master of Waves if we survive that long.
Right. So I think the play here pretty clearly is some kind of action with Trickster. Right.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I think we're gonna have to discard here.
Mm-hmm.
So don't need all these lords. Okay, well, another creature for the opponent. They left up land here, which means could be Goblin Grenade, could be
probably Bolt.
Could be Bolt. So I guess the question is at the beginning of combat, do we flash in Trickster to tap anything? Tapping Loyalist is always a decent option because it could take away first strike and we can actually trade with something. So do you think that's the best line, or do we actually let him get into combat and then try to just eat the Loyalist?
I think we'll likely tap something that isn't the Loyalist and then try to eat the Loyalist in combat, but I forget what we did.
Yeah, that's also a good line. So, right. Options. I think, maybe, let's see.
Tap Denizen, maybe?
Yeah, that seems good. And then, if the opponent has a Bolt to get rid of Trickster, it's just, it chose not to attack at all. It's very interesting. I would have thought they would have at least gotten in with the Goblin Guides.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah, well, it gives us a tiny bit of breathing room. So if we had any more interaction, like another Trickster or a Harbinger, I think we would be sort of decent here. But as it stands, we did not. So see what we can hit with Silvergill Adept.
Now, in retrospect,
yes,
I'm not sure that playing the Silvergill was the right play there because it can't block anything.
Yeah, it's true. It's a good call. We could have, if we play a Lord, then the Trickster is big enough to just eat, Goblin Guides.
And the Lord can block the Loyalist.
The Loyalist, yeah, whereas Silvergill can't even block with... yeah, go ahead.
And it's not like we're looking for lands. We already had 4, thanks to Goblin Guide.
It's true. I think the thought with Silvergill must have been just towards drawing Echoing Truth or more Tricksters, things like that. But
yeah, I'm sure that's what we were thinking about. But
a Lord is actually, I think it's a potential sort of trap with playing Merfolk is the idea that you should always play Silvergill first. But sometimes you just have in your hand what you want, and you don't need to draw anything else at the moment. Like, it's just better to play what you have, right? So in this case,
and get the biggest board state you can,
right,
as early as possible.
Sure, or maybe it's going to be better to leave up mana, to flash something in or counter magic. But I feel like Silvergill is pretty much the go-to turn 2 play. But in certain matchups, you want to just build, like 2 or get 3 lords down and get outside of like Anger of the Gods against Scapeshift or something like that. So got to be careful with those kinds of things, and that's a great observation and another point in favor of watching your replays.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, well, opponent's going for the Bolt, so they had it if we did play our Lord, So
yeah, Sometimes goblins.
But
just
in this
have
case,
it,
in this
there's
case, we
nothing
would
you can
still have at least the 2/2 trickster sitting around, and he could prevent loyalists from getting in.
do. Yep.
You know, so but instead we have this 2/1 who's not really blocking anything effectively. So I think that was just a punt there. So we sort of price ourselves out of blocking, and we're getting very, very close to Goblin Grenade range here.
Yeah.
So, I guess you know what time it is. Master Wave's time, but they have gone wider since we were talking about the situation earlier with Loyalist. One of his lesser known abilities is he makes the opponent's creatures unblockable by tokens. So, though we've got a nice army at this point, only 2 of our creatures can actually block. So if they do have the Goblin Grenade...
We're dead to a bolt, aren't we?
Well, it's just Mog War Marshal. Dead to a bolt. Let's see if that was the case. If they attack in, we can block 2 things. I don't think we were dead to a Goblin Grenade, right?
Yeah, well, we were definitely dead to a Goblin Grenade, but
if they attacked with everybody, we could block both 2/2s and take 2 damage. Oh, well, yeah, and then we'd be at 5.
Well,
right?
No, but that little trample.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Even with protection from red, we would still take trample. So
Yeah,
1 over, 1 over.
Damage,
So we would take 4. You're right. So it's not just dead to grenade, but dead to lightning bolt too. Yeah, you're on top of all loyalist abilities today. I'm kind of half-assing it right now. What you say?
Yeah, I'm feeling very sharp regarding loyalist abilities this morning.
Yeah, I'm like 3/4 awake. So, all right, getting in with the guys here. Opponent seems to know that we can't block with the tokens, and he's got first strike anyway, so pretty favorable even if we could block with the tokens. So we can at least get rid of the loyalist, but we're taking a bunch of damage here, leaving ourselves dead to just about everything. All right, so we drew into Sygg here. Continuing to play out these Silvergills. At least it's a little better since we don't have to deal with Loyalist anymore. Well, we're at 1 here, so play out another creature and hope that we don't die.
They draw only lands and have only lands in hand.
Yeah, unfortunately it's turn 6 and they have 2 lands, so means that they've probably got something in hand.
True. A man can dream.
Goblin Pile Driver. Well, we have the Mutavault for that. So, does the opponent have any attacks? They do not. Well, Trickster's good. That's a good card in this matchup, but we're at 1 life. So if they, yeah.
Mog Fanatic, Lightning Bolt. Goblin Grenade.
even the guys who just sack themselves. So let's see. I mean, Trickster is probably the play here, right? It typically is in this matchup. And we have to leave up Mutavault for the Pile Driver. Oh, there it is. So opponent seemed to draw into a Forked Bolt, which is more than enough to finish us off. So
there is.
That was kind of a sad game there because we probably could have fought more effectively if we had not played out that first Silvergill.
Yeah. I definitely, as like a Merfolk player, you know, I think I'm relatively competent, but I definitely fall prey to the misconception that it is always correct to play out Silvergills before Lords. Like sometimes I'm just on autopilot and I do that, and I think it can lose you games, as we saw here. I think that was a cascading mistake.
Yeah, definitely, because
other negative situations.
Right, we lost a good chunk of our board state because of it. You know, we just had really poor blocks. I've definitely been aware of situations where it was better to play out other things. It comes up very often, you know, where you hold the Silvergill for a while, but you know, if you just get lazy for just a second, you can run it out and then realize, oh well, 1 toughness is really not optimal right now. All right, well, so a potentially winnable game 2 down the drain. Let's go ahead and look at game 3. All right, hi guys, back for game 3 against Goblins. And we continue to get nice opening hands. Trickster and Harbinger and AEther Vial. So we're going to keep. And the opponent keeps. So game on.
I'm always so afraid of smash to smithereens in these matchups.
Yeah. Against burn, we can be afraid of destructive revelry, like post board, but they still have to get their green mana, and they kind of what's the word? They kind of telegraph that they have it in hand when they go and get that stomping ground. So you can tell like when you shouldn't play out that turn 3 Aether Vial to turn on their revelry. But against goblins, it's just a mono red deck, and there's no tells really, and so it just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's just one turn you have an Aether Vial, and the next turn you're down 3 life and an Aether Vial.
Yeah, well, we drew a land off Goblin Guide, so things are going our way so far. So, let's see. Aether Vial.
Hub, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, typically Trickster is what we want to do. We revealed Silvergill because I guess there's not a ton of pressure now, and we have Vial out, so let's draw more gas. Oh, well, we revealed Silvergill and then decided to go with Spreading Seas.
Hoping that they were stuck on land.
That they're stuck on land, and also so they can't, like, double spell next turn, right?
Right. That was the thinking.
So, yeah, just a little slow from our side, but Spreading Seas when you have a Vial down is typically a really nice tempo play because with Vial ticking up, we'll be able to get 2 creatures out next turn, and the opponent is going to have hopefully a slower turn too because of our Spreading Seas play. Oh, but there's Smash to Smithereens. Well, we've still got a nice interactive hand here, so it still hurts a lot.
It hurts a lot.
It's going to slow us down a good amount. What did that guy just reveal when he attacked? Another Silvergill, so not what we're hoping for. We wanted to land off this Goblin Guide. Go ahead.
Seas itself is a tempo negative play, right? Because it's not creatures, but it's usually offset by having the Vial. But if you play Seas and then get your Vial smashed,
yeah, it's pretty poor.
You just took turn 2, not off, but almost off. You know.
Yeah, I mean, basically you drew a card, but it's hard to say if it's tempo positive or tempo negative, because you're not putting a creature on the board, but you're slowing your opponent down. It just happened that, so in theory, if we're slowing ourselves down, but they're also getting slowed down, so it kind of balances out. But they happen to have the best single red mana spell, that they could have had in their deck. Like we would have preferred, Goblin Pile Driver there. So yeah. So Hallowed Fountain tapped. We had the option of going Bugler, but I think we're just gonna pass with Trickster up here.
Oh yeah.
In hindsight, we could have just played the land untapped and played Bugler, who's a great blocker.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that line?
I'm not a big fan because that puts us in range of dying to double Goblin Grenade.
Yeah, but double Goblin Grenade is super specific, and I don't think you can. There's not a lot of situations where you can afford to play around that.
Sure, one Goblin Grenade.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can't prevent yourself from going below 10 life against goblins. And besides, so the opponent would have. Well, we're gonna play Trickster here to tap the Goblin Guy down anyway. But if we played the Bugler, we'd be up a card, in theory, maybe like a Master of Waves. So the opponent's gonna bolt in response. I guess he could have, if we had Bugler on board, he could have bolted the Bugler and attacked. So okay, so there's a Vial, but we're a little bit scared at this point because obviously the opponent brought their smashes in.
Mm-hmm.
Life total's getting low. I think we were averse to playing the second Aether Vial, so we went with Bugler this turn instead.
Yep, I think so too. And if we find a Master of Waves, we can stabilize. Assuming we draw a land.
Well, there's a couple Tricksters and another Bugler. So Bugler seem decent here as blockers, and we want to keep digging to Master of Waves, so Bugler seems like a good choice. Again, against goblins, you pretty much, even if it seems like you might have a semi-favorable attack, you pretty much always want to be on defense until you get that Master of Waves down.
Yep.
Opponent chooses not to pay for Mog War Marshal, just gets a token. Goblin Grenade number 1. And what? Okay. Pick Bushwhacker. So this is going to put us to very low life total, I think.
Yeah.
So I think we saw something that we didn't really want to see on the top, like another Lord.
Yeah.
Not great. So we can eat one of the little guys, and then I guess trade with the Goblin Guide.
Mm-hmm.
Leaving just a token which can get bounced with Harbinger, I guess. Which turns off Goblin Guide. I mean Goblin Grenade, right? Since they'll have no goblins to sack. Okay, so I think we felt that we were so far behind that we needed to cast Silvergill, like and hopefully draw land and then play Harbinger. Do you remember this moment, Kyle?
Yes, somewhat foggily. But,
well, I think the thing is, if they had another Goblin Grenade, they would have cast it last turn. You know?
Yeah.
So I think we felt it wasn't necessarily something we had to play around right now, because it seemed pretty obvious that they don't have it in hand. And also we're dead to any number of their burn spells, right? Like we could die to Rift Bolt again, or no, not Rift Bolt, but Fork Bolt. And there it is. Okay.
And we do.
Yeah, I didn't remember that was how that went down, but we got stuck on 3 lands. We got smashed to smithereens on turn 2 after trying to slow the opponent's mana down. Yeah, I don't know. It's rough. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I think especially as you mentioned the splash versions, I think are a little favored against goblins. But if the draw lines up where we have Vial and they have Smash, then they get a big advantage, because we often go pretty deep on Vial, you know, like keeping a 1 land or 2 land hand. And then we won't actually be able to get Master of Waves onto the board. As you can see, we're sort of stuck on lands. If we hadn't gotten our Vial smashed, we'd have like 4 more creatures on the board.
Yeah, the game might have been over this turn, you know.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Things would have just been totally different, right? Because our creature, we probably would have had a couple Lords on the table. Yeah, it would have been a very different game. But Smash the Smithereens is a very good card against us. In theory, I guess if we played Curse Catcher, it could have helped in this round, because we had a Vial on 1 counter when they played Smash.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's pretty narrow, and I still don't think...
narrow, and Curse Catcher is not great in this build, because this deck wants to go into the late game, and
right, Curse Catcher's terrible.
Curse Catcher's bad there. So
yeah, so unfortunately, this put us at 1 and 2 in our league. So hoping for better performance in the next 2 rounds. So
comeback time.
Yeah, comeback time. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you're enjoying this Militia Bugler Folk. What am I looking for? League. We've gotten to see a little bit of action with Militia Bugler so far, drawing us cards, but also acting as a good blocker. Been doing a good job. It hasn't been like terrible when we've drawn it. And then Sygg.
No.
What's that?
We also haven't seen a lot of the matchups that we're hoping to see with Bugler, like Rock, like John Bass.
Right. Yeah, you know, I mean Titan Shift was pretty poor. You know, like Bugler didn't help too much. And obviously, yeah, fast matchups like Goblins are not what we're looking for. Although again, the sort of big butt on Bugler actually helps a little bit here. All right, so leave your comments down below and tune in for the next video where we'll be going to round 4. See you guys there.